Hey, it's good to have you here. Episode 46, Small Experiments Change Lives. A few years ago, someone somewhere ran a small experiment, not a billion-dollar company, not a global movement, just a group of curious people asking a question. What if machines could learn patterns the way humans do? They wrote code, tested ideas, failed a lot, and eventually, that curiosity helped shape something we now call AI. Something that's now transforming industries, creativity, and the future of work. But it didn't start as a perfect plan. It started as an experiment. Today on Pivot Era Podcast, I want to talk about something that feels especially relevant right now. Why curiosity beats certainty, especially in the age of AI. Because the explosion of AI we're witnessing right now didn't come from certainty. It came from curiosity. Thousands of small experiments layered on top of each other. Researchers testing ideas. Developers building tools. Creators playing with possibilities. And suddenly, an entire new creative landscape appeared. For many professionals across all generations, AI feels both exciting and overwhelming. On one hand, it sparks innovation. You can prototype ideas faster, write, design, build, and explore in ways that used to require entire teams. A single curious person can now test an idea in a few days, if not in 24 hours. That's powerful. But at the same time, AI raises real questions: ethics, governance, responsibility, truth. Who controls these tools? How should they be used? What happens to creativity in work? And strangely, those questions make the space even more interesting, because they invite deeper thinking. Curiosity not just about what we can build, but about how we should build it, even when the genie is out of the bottle. I'm framing this, you see. What we're seeing right now is a giant global laboratory. Millions of people experimenting with AI tools. Artists testing creative boundaries. Entrepreneurs building tiny products. Students exploring ideas that would have been impossible 5 years ago. Most of these experiments won't become companies, but they will create knowledge, and knowledge compounds, just like every technological shift before it. You will have heard knowledge is power, but I'm a great believer that shared knowledge is even more powerful and compounds for greater wins and creates community. Think about it. The internet didn't appear fully formed. It grew through experiments. So did smartphones. So did social media. And the same thing is happening now with AI and creativity. People trying things, learning quickly, sharing what works. That's how innovation actually happens. Not through perfect certainty, but through thousands of curious attempts. And here's something important to remember. AI didn't invent curiosity. Humans did. Let's all remember that and take that in for 1 second. Every breakthrough in history started with a human asking a question. What if? Kinda like these questions. What if we could communicate across oceans instantly? What if computers could fit in our pockets? What if machines could help us think? AI itself is the result of human curiosity, made possible by researchers and builders experimenting for decades. Cool, right? Which means something powerful. The same curiosity that created AI still lives in all of us. And as humans, we have blood in our veins. Processing power doesn't count as an alternative. I want to share. You don't need to be a scientist or engineer to participate in this moment. You just need to experiment, just like many people are. Try things. Play with tools. Ask questions. Maybe it's using AI to explore a creative project, like Pivot Era is for me as we build a community. Maybe it's building a small tool. Maybe it's simply learning how these systems work and thinking about the ethical questions they raise. Curiosity isn't passive, it's participation. I think about this, and maybe you do too. I think something interesting happens when people experiment publicly. It attracts other believers, people who feel the same spark, people who want to build, question, and explore. That's how movements grow, not just through marketing, through shared curiosity, through communities of people asking bold questions together. This is why side projects matter so much right now. They're not just hobbies, they're laboratories, places where ideas can evolve without pressure. And in an era of rapid technological change, experimentation might be one of the most valuable skills we have. Because the future rarely rewards the people who waited for certainty. It rewards the ones willing to explore. So if AI feels overwhelming sometimes, that's okay. That will get bigger. It just will. So take a moment and maybe step back and see it for what it really is. A huge, messy, fascinating experiment. One that humanity is running together. And like every experiment, it will require wisdom, ethics, governance, thoughtful conversations about responsibility too. but it will also require imagination. And imagination starts with curiosity. So, what's one small experiment you could try with curiosity this week? Not to master the future, just to participate in it. And if you are experimenting already, how can you take that further? Because every innovation we see around us today started the same way. Someone wondered, someone tested an idea, someone stayed curious long enough to see what might happen. This is Pivot Era Podcast. And sometimes, if not always, if you look back through history, the future doesn't arrive through certainty. It arrives through curiosity. And I'll leave this with you. Please don't be afraid to ask questions and enjoy the process. It's fun and responsible at the same time. You never know how your small experiments that just might, just change lives. This is an AI voice-powered podcast shared by humans who simply want to connect across generations and normalize the art of starting again. New episodes drop weekly. Share it with someone who's navigating their own pivot or who needs to hear that beginnings aren't failures. They're growth.